All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over this set of articles from docs.microsoft.com on ASP.NET overview, getting started with ASP.NET 5. So far, I've gone through the getting started, the controller, and the view. So I'm up to the fourth article out of 11, which is on adding a model. Now, this is a short article. It is only literally 6 pages long, and on the 6 pages, a total of 1, 2, 3 of those pages are just pictures. So this should go fairly quickly. So in this section, we're going to add some classes for managing movies in a database. We're not adding the database directly. What we're going to do in the next chapter is we're going to use, well, we'll start it in here, what's called the entity framework. And what the entity framework will do is, from us building this fairly simplistic class, it'll build the database for us. And it does this in a paradigm or a way of thinking that's called code first. And as mentioned here, code first, what that does is it allows you to create objects by writing simple classes, also known as POCO, or plain old CLR, which is Common Language Runtime objects. You can then have the database created on the fly. That's what we'll start doing now. And it's created, so we'll create the database directly from our classes. You can do it the other way too. You can do the database first and then do the classes. This way is considered to be a very clean and rapid way of setting it up. Again, if you're required to do the database first, then there's a tutorial. All right, it says you can still follow this tutorial, then you can follow Tom Fizmakin's ASP.NET scaffolding tutorial, which does the database first as opposed to the code first. So, adding the model classes, I'm on the bottom of page 1. So let's go back to our project, which is still running, so let's stop the run. All right, now I'm going over to models. And in my models folder right now, I've got an account view models, an identity models, and a manage view models. Well, I want to right mouse click on the models folder. I want to choose add, and under add, I want to select class, which is at the very bottom. For the class name, we want to enter here movie, really movie.cs. All right. So that's the class name we are to add. That's what's shown on pages 1 and 2 of this document. All right, so we get this class, and there's nothing in it virtually right now. Public class movie. So we want to go in and we want to add, and I don't feel like typing, so I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I would recommend that if you ever do what I'm about to show you, that is, I want to grab this code. There may be weird things in that code, and what I mean by that with weird things is there may have been something that had been put in there, by whatever they're using here for their word processor. So I'm going to go into Notepad, and I'm going to drop that code into Notepad, because that should remove anything that was possibly put in there that shouldn't be put in there. So what we're doing is we're creating a class, and we're saying that that particular class is going to have 5 elements in it. An integer, which represents ID, which is going to be our primary key, so it's the movie ID. A string title, which is going to represent the movie's title. A date, time, release date, which is going to represent the release date and time of the movie. A string, which represents the genre, comedy, western, whatever. And a decimal, which represents the price. So as the author says on page 3, we'll use this movie class to represent movies in a database. Each time we create a new movie object, that will become a new record or row within our database table. And each property here will become a column or field of a record. All right. So the author says, in order to use the system.data.entity and the related classes, you'll need to install the entity framework NuGet package. It says follow the link here for further instructions. All right, bottom line is this. So it's the Entity Framework NuGet package. So if I come over to my project here and I right mouse click on the project and I go down to Manage NuGet Packages, okay, and then I click under the Browse, I can look at Installed and see if I find it in here. So what I'm looking for, again, is the Entity Framework NuGet package, and I can see that it's already installed. If I didn't see it here, I could click under Browse, and I could type in here, Entity Framework. All right, like that. And it shows us this, and it also is, basically, I could go in and add it that way. It's already installed, so I don't have to. But I'm just showing you that again for completeness. All right. So it says in the same file, add the following movie DB context class. So right now, let me close this because I don't need it. Right now in our movie CS, this is what we have. This is what's shown on the bottom of page 3 in the handout. On page 4, they tell us that what we have to add is another class in here. That is public class movie DB context, which is going to inherit from DB context. And it will have in it public DB set movies, make this smaller so you can see all of it, and we're going to have a get and a set in there. All right, this class, and we did talk about this, if you go back and you look, I don't know, it must be chapter 17 or 18 from the actual PowerPoints of our Muroc textbook. This class represents the Entity Framework Movie database context. So this class will handle the fetching, the storing, and the updating of the movie class instances which are in our database. The movie DB context derives from the DB context class. Now, there's a mistake here. That shouldn't say application. That should just say DB. All right. Not sure why I'm getting that error message. I'm following what's in the book. That may have changed to application DB. I don't know. All right. But it's saying here that's not found. So show potential fixes. Use. Okay. So I showed the fix and I added a using in here, which added this using system.data.entity. And I think that fixed it. All right, and that's also mentioned here in the handout. In order to be able to reference this, you need to add the following using. You could manually put it in or did what I did, which was to click on this and show fixes, which said you wanted to add this, so it's been added. All right. Says, note, several unused using statements may have also been removed. All right. You can do this by right-clicking in the file and choose in there organize usings, remove unnecessary usings. So let's do this. Let's go back up to the top where we've got them here. Right mouse click, organize using, remove unnecessary usings, and it removed a bunch of the things that were in there. So all we needed was system and system.data.entity. So we're done. It says we have finally added a model, the M in MVC. So in the next section that we have in here, and let's save, I could run it, but nothing's going to look any different, and it won't until the next lecture. So we have now gone through our getting started, adding a controller, adding a view, and adding a model. In the next section, which again is very short, It's 4 pages, so I'm going to do that, and that'll be it for the day. It's going to be on creating a connection string and working with SQL Server Local DB. I'll be back with that presentation in just a couple minutes.